Last today, we will discuss part 2 of consolidation subsequent to date of acquisition. Last meeting, we discussed accounting for consolidation at the date of acquisition. This is our illustration. Let's say January 1 is the date of acquisition. How do you prepare the consolidated financial statements? You just get the separate FS of the parent, which is company A, and the separate FS of the subsidiary, which is company B. You reflect the working paper entries, then you get the conso FS. Okay? So far, for the working paper entries, we have discussed 3 entries. Number 1 is to eliminate the equity of the subsidiary. Entry number 2 is to measure the assets and liabilities of the sub at fair market value. And entry number 3 is recognition of goodwill or gain. In our illustration, it's goodwill. Okay? Now, if January 1 is a date of acquisition, yung subsequent to date of acquisition is December 31 of that year and December 31 of the succeeding years. Gets? Okay. So, ano yung gagawin natin sa subsequent to date of acquisition? Well, on December 31, kailangan gawin mo ulit yung entries na yan. Okay? Yung 3 entries. Actually, every December 31, gagawin mo siya before you can prepare your conso FS. But, meron ka pang related entries to this, specifically for your working paper entry number 2. As you can see, di ba, noong January 1, mas mataas yung PPE mo and inventory, yung fair market value over the book value, right? Now, yung mangyayari dyan is that, in the books of the subsidiary, because separate books yon, nagdi-depreciate pa rin siya at book value. And for inventory naman, nagbebenta pa rin siya at book value, right? Well, for the purposes of the cost of goods sold. Now, because kailangan natin siya i-reflect at fair market value, meron kang additional entry dun sa PPE muna. For the PPE, you have additional depreciation expense, debit, depreciation, credit debt. Then, because yung PPE na yan shared by the parent and the NCI, this depreciation should be allocated as well to the parent and the NCI. Gets? And for the inventory naman, you have to debit cost of goods sold, credit inventory, and the P&L effect, which is cost of goods sold, kailangan mo din siyang i-allocate to the parent and the NCI. Gets? So basically, the subsequent to date of acquisition, which is December 31, yung P&L effect of your first entries, specifically entry number 2, kailangan allocate mo siya to the parent and the NCI because originally, when you did this journal entry, allocated siya to the parent and the NCI. Okay? Yung subsequent P&L effect should be also allocated to the parent and the NCI. Para mas magets mo yan, let's go to our problem for today. Alright. Okay, let's see. Let's read the questions first. First question is, how much is the NCI in profit? Okay, when you say NCI in profit, NCI's share in profit of the subsidiary. Question B, how much is the consolidated profit? When you say conso profit, this is 100%. Alright? How much is the conso retained earnings attributable to parent? When you say conso retained earnings, kung ilang percent owned lang siya by the parent. Okay? And then what amount of NCI is presented in the conso statement of financial position on December 31? We know NCI is an equity account that will appear in the consolidated financial statements. Just to review, di ba, yung NCI, hindi siya mag-a-appear sa separate FS, right? Only in the conso FS. Gets? Okay, let's read the given. On January 1, 2020, Mr. Corporation acquired 80% of Accounting Inc.'s ordinary shares for 3,240,000. What do you call this? This is the price paid. Okay, 3,240,000. 150,000 of the excess is attributable to goodwill and the balance to a depreciable asset with an economic life of 10 years. Okay, 150,000 goodwill, yung balance daw is to the depreciable asset. Well, hindi siya given, kailangan natin siyang computing later. NCI is measured at its fair value of 810,000, so no need to compute for the NCI. Given na yung fair value, 810,000. Date of acquisition. On date of acquisition, the stockholders' equity of the two companies were as follows. Mr. Corp and Accounting Inc. Sino si Mr. Corp? Well, siya yung parent, right? Acquirer. and Accounting Inc. is the subsidiary or the acquiree. So, you have the ordinary shares and the retained earnings. Sige nga, compute natin yung total equity of the parent and the subsidiary. Okay, so Mr. Corp muna. 5,250. Okay, 5,250 plus 7.8. Okay, 13,050,000. 13,050,000. Alright. And then for Accounting Inc., 1.2 plus 2.1, this is 3.3 million. Okay, 3.3 million. Alright. So, kinompute ko lang yung equity of the parent and the subsidiary. Okay. On December 31, 2020, Accounting Inc. Accounting is the sub. Lagay ko, sub. Reported net income of 525,000 and paid dividends of 180 to Mr. Corp. Okay. Mr. Corp is the parent, right? Reported net income of 1,425,000 and paid dividends of 690,000. Okay, and then we're asked to compute for this 4 items. Alright, so sir, ano yung gagawin natin dyan? Well, first is, kailangan natin malaman how much is the depreciable asset, right? Given tayo ng purchase price, goodwill and NCI, and the fair value or the book value of the net assets, then we can compute for the excess. Alright? Well, let's see. Ano nga ba yung equation natin? So, dapat you have to know this by heart. Tama ba? Purchase price plus NCI, right, is equal to the goodwill plus fair value of net assets, right? Okay, so naaral natin siya from our last video. Okay? How much is the purchase price? 3,240,000. I'll just fill in the numbers here. Okay, so purchase price is 3,240,000. NCI natin is 810,000. Okay? This is equal to goodwill, given na siya, 150,000. And how about the fair value of net assets? Well, basically, ang given sa atin is the book value of net assets. Tama? It's 3.3 million. Okay? Kailangan natin malaman is the excess. Tama ba? Ganito lang gagawin ko dyan. 3.3 million. And then excess, well, yun yung X. Tama? We solve for X. Right? And then we solve for X. X is your excess. Okay? Excess of fair value over book value. Sige nga, let's compute. Algebra lang yan, di ba? 3,240,000. So, add ko siya. 3,240,000 plus 810,000. Okay. Less 150,000. Okay. And then less 3.3 kasi lilipat ko siya doon, right? Less 3.3, you get 600,000. 600,000 is the excess. Okay. X is 600,000. Alright. We know 600,000 is related to a depreciable asset. Tama? With a life of 10 years. Okay. So, parang ito siya. Entry number 2 natin, yung PPE dyan amounts to 600,000. Okay, for this problem. Gets? So, implication yan is, at the end of the year, December 31, kailangan natin i-depreciate yung excess and then we allocate the excess to the parent and the NCI. Okay? Now, let's continue. Alright. On the date of acquisition, stockholders' equity of 2 companies. Okay. December 31, Accounting Inc. The sub reported net income and paid dividends. The parent reported net income of 1,425 and paid dividends of 690,000. Okay. So basically, ayan, yun yung given sa atin. We can now compute the following. Letter A. How much is the NCI in profit of Accounting Inc. on December 31, 2020? Okay. How much daw yung share ni NCI dun sa net income of the subsidiary, which is Accounting Inc. Okay? How do you compute that? Well, kailangan mo muna malaman is that NCI has 20% stake in the subsidiary, right? So, si parent, own niya is 80%, well, si NCI owns 20% of the subsidiary. Gets? Okay. Net income of the sub. How much yung net income of the sub? It's 525,000. Tama? 525,000 na yan, 20% of that will go to the NCI, right? So, 525,000 times 20%, 105,000. Okay? 105,000 of the net income of the sub will go to the NCI. Gets? Okay. And what else? Ano pa ba? How about the excess? Kailangan siya. Tama? In our working paper entry, yung excess natin, which is in our problems of depreciation, meron siyang share kay NCI, which is 20%. Okay? How much yung depreciation natin? If the excess is 600,000, and then meron siyang useful life of 10 years, 600 divided by 10, you get 60,000, right? Depreciation expense, 60,000. Well, syempre expense siya. Pero yung 60,000 na yun, it's the 100%. Tama? We're computing for NCI na may 20% lang. 60,000 times 20%, that's 12,000. Negative 12,000. Okay? What else? Meron pa ba tayong na-miss out? Well, actually, yun lang. Okay? Net income of 105,000. And 105,000 less 12,000, you get 93,000. 93,000 is the NCI's share in the profit of the subsidiaries. Okay, easy. Let's go to question B. And question B, how much is the consolidated profit on December 31? When you say consolidated profit, remember 100% siya. It's not 80%. It should be 100%. Last, if you appreciate this free accounting tutorial, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I have a new video. Let's compute consolidated profit. Let's start with the net income of the parent. How much ulit? It's 1,425,000. Okay, 1,425,000. Net income of the sub, how much yun? 525,000. Is it 80% or 100%? 100%. When you say consolidated profit, again, 100%. Ulit ka because it's important, okay? 100%, 525,000. Alright. What else? What will affect our conso profit? How about the excess? The depreciation. Yes. Okay. Depreciation. 600,000 divided by 10, 60,000 minus 60,000. Okay. How about, ano pa ba yung given sa atin? The dividends. Okay. Accounting Inc., the subsidiary, reported net income of 525 and paid dividends of 180,000 to Mr. Corp, to the parent. Okay. Now, yung concept kasi of working paper entries, ginagamit natin siya or nire-reflect natin siya because the parent and the subsidiary are one for the purposes of the consolidated FS, right? So in that case, if nag-declare si sub ng 180 dividends, actually nagbayad ng 180 dividends to Mr. Corp, it means that overstated yung net income ni Mr. Corp. Does that make sense? Okay, because iisa lang dapat sila, we have to eliminate this transaction. Okay? Actually, this is an example of an intercompany transaction. So, this is an intercompany dividends. Kailangan natin siyang i-eliminate. Okay? Kailangan natin dagdagan yung entry natin. Ayan. So far, meron na tayong 4. Okay? Ito, isama lang natin siya sa entry number 2. Okay? Lagyan natin number 4. Alright. We have to eliminate this 180,000. Guess yung bakit because of that dividends na overstate yung net income na ni-report ni parent, and dapat hindi yan mag-reflect to the conso FS because the parent and the subsidiary are one. Okay? Now, sir, paano yung gagawin nating entry dyan? Okay, so tanggalin natin yung dividend. Dividend income. Hindi ka nalalagay ng amount. Later, lalagay ko dito. Okay? And then, debit NCI. Okay, this dividend income is at 80%. This NCI is at 20%. We credit retained earnings. Okay, so lalagay ko lahat ng may encounter natin na working paper entry in this in this sheet. Okay, debit dividend income, debit NCI, credit retained earnings. Sige nga, lagay natin siya dito sa problem. So 180,000. Lagay natin yung entry. Debit dividend income. 180,000. Debit NCI. Okay. Tama ba yung 180,000 represents 80% of the total dividends? Tama ba? Hindi siya yung 100% because sabi dyan, Accounting Inc. paid dividends of 180 to Mr. Corp. So, yun na yung na-receive ni Mr. Corp from the subsidiary, right? It means 180,000 is 80% of total dividends. 180,000, if we divide this by 0.8, we get 225,000. 225,000 is 100% of the dividends. Okay, 225 minus 180,000, you have 45,000 debit NCI. Okay, and then credit retained earnings 225,000. Ano gets nyo ba yung entry ko? Debit dividend income 180, debit NCI 45,000, credit retained earnings 225,000. Gets? Okay. Sir, bakit ba natin kino-compute yan? It's because we're computing for the consolidated profit, and the 1,425,000 reported by the parent, naka-reflect dyan yung 180,000 na dividends. Am I right? Okay. So, kailangan tanggalin natin siya. Dividends received from the subsidiary, 180,000 minus 180,000. Let's take a look at the dividends of 690,000. Dalawa yung dividends dito, tama? Yung isa declared by the sub, another one is declared by the parent, 690. Okay, question is, do we need to eliminate the 690,000 in computing the consolidated profit? Isipin nyo mabuti. 690,000, dineclare siya ni parent. So yung naka-receive niyan? Naka-receive niyan is the shareholders of the parent. Okay, not related to the subsidiary or to the NCI. So, wala siyang effect dun sa consolidated profit natin. Gets? Okay. Very good. Ayan. We can now compute for the consol profit. 1,425,000 plus 525,000 minus 60,000 minus 180,000. We get 1,710,000. Okay. 1,710,000. This is your consolidated profit. Ay nako, nakaka-stress talaga tong consolidation. Parang kailangan ko ng comfort food Uy, sakto, may sponsorship package tayo from Abby Bakes. Let's see Oh, shucks, man. My favorite, the Abby Bakes Perfecto, Oreo stuffed chocolate chip, and Rebel bars. Ayos, may pre-workout na ako. Thank you to our sponsor for today's video, Abby Bakes. Abby Bakes, the number one. Ay, hindi ko pala alam tagline yan. Basta nasa description yung Facebook link and order form. Order now. Pero syempre, my all-time favorite and most special is no other than Banana Nutella GPDC. Okay, let's move on to question C. How much is the consolidated retained earnings attributable to parents, shareholders' equity? When you say consolidated retained earnings, this is always kung ilang percent owned lang ni parent. In this example, in this problem, it's 80%. Bakit, sir? Because yung RE, tama ba, i-eliminate natin yung 2.1 na yan, right? Ito siya, yung first entry natin, eliminated na yung retained earnings in subsidiary, okay? When you say conso RE, it's attributable to parent, automatic. In this problem, it's 80%. Gets? Okay. Let's compute. See, how much is the conso RE? Let's start with the retained earnings of the parent. Beginning balance, that's 7.8 million. Okay, 7.8 million. What else? How about net income ni parent? Yes, diretso yan sa RE. And it's always 100%. Tama? Pag net income ni parent. Kasi kay parent lahat yan, yung 1,425,000. We add the net income of the sub. Net income of the sub, it's only 80%. Okay? 525,000. Right? 525,000 times 0.8, we get 420,000. Net income of the sub, we add here 420,000. Okay? What else? How about the depreciation? Yes. Depreciation, again, shared yan by the parent and the sub. Annual depreciation is 60,000 times 80%. We have 48,000 here. 48,000. Okay. What else? How about yung kinompute natin na dividends here? 180,000. Yes. Because again, yung 1,425,000 na yan, overstated siya. That's why dividends received by the parent na 180,000 based on our entry, We need to debit that. So it means kailangan i-decrease natin yung income by 180,000. Alright. How about the 690,000? Kailangan ba natin siyang i-reflect to compute for the Conso RE? Answer is yes, because entry here for the 690,000 debit retained earnings, credit dividends payable, right? Dividends payable. This is not a working paper entry. This is an actual entry. Tama? That's why dividends declared or dividends paid na 690,000 should decrease the retained earnings of the parent. Okay? Actually, yan lang yun. We get total 7.8 million plus 1,425,000 plus 420,000 minus 48,000 minus 180 minus 690. You get here 8,727,000. 8,727,000. This is your consolidated retained earnings. Okay, let's go to the last item. What amount of NCI is presented in the Conso Statement of Financial Position? Letter D. What is our NCI beginning balance? Okay, from the problem, tama ba? It's 810,000. 810,000. NCI beginning balance at fair value. What else? Ano yung makaka-affect sa NCI natin? How about letter A? NCI's share in the profit. O, syempre, dapat maka-add siya sa NCI natin. Lagay ko na lang dito, from letter A, tama? What's our answer for letter A? It's 93,000. We know net income increases the balance of your equity. And since NCI is an equity account, so dapat maka-increase yung NCI share in profit sa NCI account, right? So, plus 93,000. And then, what else? How about the dividends declared by the sub? Don't forget our journal entry number 4. Okay, working paper entry number 4. We're debiting NCI, okay, for the dividends declared by the sub. Okay? So, yung dividends na yan, dapat ma-decrease niyan yung NCI natin. How much? Okay, in our entry, it's 45,000. Don't forget that, very critical. So, usually nakakalimutan yun ng mga students. NCI, let's just put here the dividends. Okay, 45,000. Okay, you can now compute for the NCI balance at the end of the year, 810,000 plus 93,000 minus 45,000. You get here 858,000. 858,000. This is our final answer for question D. How much is our NCI in the Conso Statement of Financial Position? Class, is the end of this free tutorial. Patikim pa lang yan. What are the working paper entries in the succeeding years? Let's say years 2 and 3. What if nagbago yung estimate of the fair value of net assets? May effect ba siya on goodwill or gain? What if may goodwill impairment at the end of the year? How do you account for step acquisition? Reverse acquisition. Tuturo namin lahat yan at Pinnacle, regardless of your accounting background, we will provide you with the most efficient and effective review by focusing on best review strategies, key points to remember, shortcuts, common tricks, and mistakes. For reservation and to know more about us, visit our website and Facebook page. All the links are in the description below. Reserve now because we only accept limited number of students in order to preserve the quality of our review. Class dismissed. See you next meeting.